Hello, everyone, and welcome to my first live stream in 5 months, I think. 4 or 5 months it's been since I've done a live stream. I'm really hoping some folks will be able to join us and that we'll have some good participation today. I do have a poll running on the community tab of my channel right now asking you when the best time for you to participate in a live stream is. Now, normally on Saturday it's actually 11 a.m. my time, Central Standard Time, is when Gary Bembridge from Tips for Travelers usually does his lives. But Gary is on his 100th cruise right now. And so he didn't do a live stream today. So I was hoping maybe some of the folks that normally would participate in Gary's live might be able to join this one, although it's a few hours later. So far, there haven't been a lot of responses to the poll on my community tab, but the people who have responded so far, the top response for when they would best be able to participate in a live was Sunday evening. And that's not the greatest time for me. The second one that they said was Saturday evening. So it's 3:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, January 14th, 2023, right now when I'm doing this live where I live. So it's 9:00 in the UK, is that right? 10:00 at night in, farther Eastern Europe, and 1:00 in the afternoon on the West Coast. So tell me if this is a good time, or, there's a couple of reasons I was a little frustrated that most of the answers I'm getting are in the evening. I understand wanting to watch a live in the evening, but I'm going to give you two reasons why I'm not too excited about hosting a live in the evening. One is lighting. Right now I have a lot of natural light. I have good light here. I still don't have a ring light and I still don't have a green screen. So that's why this looks a little funky around the edges of my head. This photograph that I'm using as a background today is a photograph that I took from deck 4 of the Disney Wonder, and that ship in the distance behind my, behind my shoulder there, that's the Celebrity Solstice, which was anchored off of Cabo San Lucas, Mexico with us when we were there off the west coast of Mexico this actually would have been early November. So if you haven't seen my series of videos from that trip, be sure and check those out. They're all up on my channel now, from our Disney Wonder cruise that Ben and I took from San Diego. It was Halloween and into the beginning of November. Couple other things going back. So lighting is a problem if I do it in the evening. The other thing that is a little tricky for me in the evening is not my best time personally. The older I get, Ben can attest to this.
It is my time.
Yeah, Ben is all energy and go, let's do this in the evening. And he is super slow and grumpy in the morning.
Like now too.
And we're flipped.
It's like right after dinner I get super.
Yeah, after dinner he gets all energized and I get super tired and I lose all my energy and all my enthusiasm in the evening. And I need to go to, I could go to bed at 7:00. Seriously, I'm an old lady now and I need to go to bed early and I get really tired. And I don't think I would have the best presence to be able to talk to all of you the later it is. So I know that's a bummer, but that's kind of why. I mean, if it turns out that's the only time people can come, then I guess I'll have to deal with it. But it's not my top choice. And lighting would definitely be a challenge. Okay, so a couple of the housekeeping things I want to talk about right away. First of all, I want to tell you this before I forget. Oftentimes people will ask me, other YouTube content creators, about travel, especially cruising. They have questions about accessibility and traveling with a disability and traveling with a wheelchair or a walker or a cane or anything like that. Now, hopefully you've been around long enough if you've watched my channel for a while. If you haven't, go back and look at my playlist about this. I do have a permanent disability with my right ankle. I severely injured my ankle. It's over 2 years ago now, and I get around pretty good at home, but there's a whole playlist about, it's called Injured Ankles, and you can go back and watch that. The most recent video I did, which was my 2-year update, really kind of explains the limitations that I have. But because of that, I really try in all of my videos, my vlogs, when we're out and about, to include as much information as I can about accessibility for people who have limited mobility like I do. You know, is it hard to walk here? Are there too many steps? Steps is a big one for me. I really can't do steps down. And, you know, are there elevators? Is this a smooth surface? You know, things like that. I'm always looking for that now when we travel because it's important to me. And so I started to recognize, like, how is this going to affect other people who have, you know, even more serious mobility limitations or disabilities than I do? I found a new channel just the other day, and it's called Cruising with a Chair. And his channel's about the same size as mine. And it's a couple a little older than me, like maybe they're in their 60s. And the wife uses a wheelchair. Now, she's not completely confined to the wheelchair. Sometimes he'll show her using a scooter as well. But they really have some good information on their channel, some good videos. I found their channel because I was looking for information about Alaska, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But if you're looking for another channel, another one that Gary has mentioned is Cruising with Wheels. But this one too, Cruising with a Chair. Check them out. He did a good job. Like, one of the ones I saw is he did a stateroom or a cabin tour of their accessible cabin with her in the scooter. So it really did a nice job of showing what exactly she could and could not reach. How could she move around the cabin? How could she get in and out of the bathroom? All of that. I thought that, I never thought to do that from the perspective. I mean, I have shot some vlogs where I'm in a scooter. So you can go back. I know when we were at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, I was in a scooter. When we were at Disneyland, I was using a scooter. I think I've made videos at Minnesota Zoo where I was using a scooter. So then you would have gotten my perspective, because you're down lower if you're in a scooter and you're, you know, people are around you, and sometimes people can really kind of get in your way and you can't move. And I have a vlog coming up from Disney World that I just finished editing, that we went to get me an ECV on the last day when we were at Epcot. It was the day after Thanksgiving and the first day of Festival of the Holidays. It was very, very busy and crowded. And I went to get an ECV and there were none left. But then Megan made the point that she said, "Mom, there's so many crowds. I don't think you'd be able to move in the ECV or maneuver." And I think she was right. It was actually easier for me, even though I was in a lot of pain. I was limping pretty bad. It was easier for me just to walk because the scooter can sometimes be really challenging. So I just wanted to point that other channel out to you. Something else I wanted to ask. I'm curious about this. I see it, but I want to know if you guys see it. When I'm vlogging and I'm walking and I have the camera on my own face, can you notice that I limp? I can definitely notice it. My mom notices it, but I'm wondering if my viewers notice, especially if it's like late in the day and I'm trying to walk relatively quickly. You can really see it. And I just wondered if you guys have seen that too. Like, if you notice the difference in my gait, because I'm actually limping. So I just kind of wondered if you guys have noticed that. Okay, another housekeeping thing. And Margaret, I'm going to get to your question in a minute because that's another thing I wanted to touch on. Thank you for being here, by the way. Okay, another thing. I did attempt, if you blinked, you probably missed it. I did attempt recently with the beginning of the new year to launch a Patreon page. It was a giant fail. I was actually really discouraged and disappointed with it, and I decided to take it down. I've decided I'm not going to do Patreon, even though Patreon gives us 90% of the donations from the patrons, which is more than we would get from channel memberships through YouTube. There were a couple things that I was frustrated with about Patreon that I wasn't expecting. One was I didn't realize that I couldn't actually directly link it to my YouTube channel somehow. And so it made things like giving my patrons early access to videos really challenging for me because I schedule most of my videos way in advance. I edit them and have them up way earlier than you see them. And having to do early access on Patreon was messing that all up. And so that didn't work for me and other things like that. And then the other thing is I got two people and one of them was my mom. So I'm sorry, Mom, I don't count you. Okay, thank you for your support, but I don't count my mother. Okay, as she doesn't count. I need regular YouTube viewers. So I just decided I guess it's still a little too early. I mean, it kills me to say that because this is my 5th year of doing YouTube, okay? And if you watch other YouTube creators who have made videos about how long did it take you to get monetized, it took me 4 years to get monetized. And one of the things that a lot of channels that like tell you small channels how to grow and things like that will say is you can't give up. You have to just keep going. And I have definitely not given up and I have definitely just kept going. I have 627 videos on my channel now. That's a lot of videos. That's a lot of work that I've put into this channel and I just keep plugging along. But there are days where I do get really discouraged because I really need my channel to grow. I financially really, I'm kind of out of options. If you've been following along, my Social Security disability benefit claim was denied. It's now in appeal. My lawyer did actually appeal it for me on my behalf. I actually just talked to a guy from Social Security on the phone last night. He called to ask me a bunch of questions about my YouTube channel, which I still am confused by that call. I don't know what he was looking for there, but I haven't gotten consistent child support in over a decade at all. It just stopped completely. I tried for 15 years to get a full-time job, and now that I'm disabled, I can't do anything that would require me to stand or be on my feet at all, walking, and even sitting for an extended period of time is really difficult, and I can't do anything that would involve driving. So it rules out a lot of stuff. And I had been trying for 15 years before I stopped teaching to get a different job and never got hired anywhere. I have 2 bachelor's degrees and half of my master's done. And I'm a very well-educated person. 22 years of teaching doesn't seem to transfer to anything else. So anyway, but I was kind of doing a little analysis. Here's what I'd like to see. In the short term, my goal is I want to see a minimum of 120 views a video, okay? When you look at across YouTube at channels, I've said this before, there's 2 things that are true about YouTube. Very few viewers actually subscribe. Very, very few. You'll hear other creators talk about this. They'll say, in our analytics, we noticed that only 15% of viewers subscribe. That's pretty standard. Very few viewers actually subscribe to channels. And then the other thing is your subscribers don't watch your videos. If my subscribers all watched my videos, then every single video should have at least 1,200 views. And they don't. So I know my subscribers aren't watching my videos. So I just really need more views. Views equals money. So I really need more views. I did a little analysis. So the minimum I want 120 video because that's about 10% of my subscribers. And that's about what you'll typically see on any channel. And that's a good kind of gauge of how they're doing. They should be getting about 10% in views compared to how many subscribers they have. So I should be getting a minimum of 120 views on every video, no matter what. 37% of my videos on my channel, I figured this out today, have less than 120 views. Now, most of those are really old videos. They're from a long time ago when I first started. And when I was looking at that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I was like, I can't believe I made that and put that up there. Look at that thumbnail. Oh, okay. But there's quite a few that are that low that are recent. So my recent videos, and I have heard there's a thing called like a post-holiday slump with YouTube where the viewing goes down or whatever. So some of that may be that too, but anyway. And then my ultimate goal, so that we could be self-sufficient and I could genuinely support us with just YouTube, like if I didn't have any money coming in from any place else, would be at least 4,000 views on every video. That's a pretty lofty goal. I mean, there's some pretty significantly sized channels that don't even get that. And I did an analysis on that too, and currently about 3% of my videos have that. Now, some of them have way more than that. I've got videos with 30,000 views, but it's not very many. So I'd like to see, I just really want to see those views go up. Okay. I'm going to go from that to answer Margaret's question, which are you planning on doing more local travel videos? Okay. First of all, I have a lot of local travel videos on my channel. My last video that went up right before this live was a hotel room tour. 2 of them I had in the past week or so in Minneapolis. That's a Midwest local thing. They don't get many views. Okay. So I'm making those all the time. Not a lot of people watch them. I have had several people ask me, are you going to do more Wisconsin Dells content? When I first started my channel, we were extremely poor. Okay. We couldn't go on any kind of big trips, really. Maybe we might take one vacation where we flew a year. And we went to Wisconsin Dells a lot. I've been going to Wisconsin Dells since I was a little kid. When you live in Wisconsin or Illinois or maybe even Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, you go to the Dells all the time. That's just what everybody does. So the Wisconsin Dells videos are very popular because millions of people visit Wisconsin Dells every year. I have a lot of Wisconsin Dells videos on my channel. They're still making me lots of money because those get watched. My older ones that are on there get watched. I don't really need to make more because the ones I've already made are still generating a ton of income. So they're actually some of my highest earning videos that I have. And here's the thing, I'm sick of it. I don't want to go to Wisconsin Dells anymore. My kids don't want to go anymore. We've been there a bazillion times and we don't want to go back. I mean, I don't know how many times you can go to Wisconsin Dells, and it's just, my kids aren't little kids anymore. They're not into going to water parks anymore. It's just, we've been a bazillion times, and we just don't, I don't know what else I could show you. I don't know, unless I just keep going back to the same resorts over and over. And the other thing is, think about what a water park is. It's stairs. I can't do stairs anymore. So I can't do the water parks anymore. I can't do the ropes courses and all that stuff. It's stairs. I can't do it physically. So I'm not going to be able to make the content with my ankle disability that I could make before. So please, if you enjoy that content, if you came to my channel because of the Wisconsin Dells content, they're some of my top performing videos. I'm glad people like them and I'm glad they're helpful, but I really don't intend to make any more because we don't have any desire to go back there. There's so many other places we want to go that it doesn't make sense to keep going back there. And it's not that big. There's not that much we can make videos about. And the other thing, it's too difficult for me physically. And here's the other thing. Wisconsin Dells is really expensive. It's very expensive. And I mean, I made a video about how to get good deals at Wisconsin Dells, but it's expensive. And if people think like, oh, we're going to save so much money by going to Wisconsin Dells, I could go to Europe for cheaper. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's really expensive. If you're trying to take a big family and stay there for like a long time, there was this mom I met one time. I think I met her at Mount Olympus, and she told me they went to 3 different places. They were staying at Mount Olympus for a week, and then they were staying at Kalahari for a week, and then they were going to Great Wolf or Wilderness for a week. And I was like, oh my gosh. First of all, I'd be dead. I'd be exhausted. And secondly, I can't even imagine how much money that would cost. Just to go for like 2 nights to a water park resort in Wisconsin Dells can easily be thousands of dollars. So, with meals and everything, and the rooms are just very expensive. And I really just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's a nice vacation destination, but it's not, I don't think what you get is worth that kind of amount of money. You can have much better, more enriching travel experiences in other places than that. So that's kind of my view on it. And I mean, I'm not going to ever take down the Wisconsin Dells videos that I made. They're very, very popular. I really do hope they're helpful to people, but it's highly unlikely we'll ever go back there. So as far as like other local stuff though, if we're doing things locally, and like I said in a recent video, we're trying to get like a lot of hotel and room tours of all the hotels around the Minneapolis airport and the Mall of America area, and stay in like a different one every time to show you all of those. So, I mean, that's local. You know, I mean, if we do things here around in the Midwest, of course, I'm going to make videos about it. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question. But I just have so many other things I want to make videos about. I don't want to be stuck with that. And here's the thing. There's only so many people that live in the Midwest. If I'm only going to focus on the Midwest, my channel's not going to grow to the extent I need it to grow. I need to be making videos that have worldwide appeal. Literally. I do have a lot of viewers from other countries, but I need to be making videos that people from the entire United States, Canada, Mexico, all of the world are interested in watching and might somehow apply to them and be something that they would be interested in. So if I'm going to get the kind of growth that I need to see, I need to be doing that. Which brings me to the second most popular type of video on my channel is cruising. Cruising videos are extremely popular. And so I do tend to focus more and as much as I can on cruising for three reasons. One, they're popular. There's no way around it. If you look at my statistics and my analytics of my videos, my cruising videos of the things I'm making more recently get the most views by far. It's not even a question. They get more views than anything else. And then secondly, it's a really excellent vacation value. I can get a lot for my cruising dollar. And thirdly, I like it. I like cruising, and cruising is something I physically can do way into old age and something I can enjoy with my kids. And there's a lot of variety to cruising. There's many, many different types of cruising. There's many, many different types of cruise ships. These two ships here are very different from one another. They were going to the same place, but they cater to a completely different type of people. But I'm interested in going on both of those. So, I mean, there's a cruise line for everybody. I'd like to try river cruising in Europe. I'd like to try, different cruising in locations all around the world. So I'm really trying to go more in that direction in the future. But remember, cruising isn't just what you do on the cruise ship. Cruising is a whole travel experience in yourself. I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit. Okay, so the one last thing I wanted to talk about as far as like housekeeping for my channel. Oh, it's all flushed. I get excited, I get flushed. It's fair skin. It's a fair skinned curse. Is shorts. If you have not noticed, YouTube has really been pushing us to try shorts. I mean, very bluntly, YouTube is trying to compete with TikTok and Reels on Instagram. So YouTube has been pushing us to create shorts, which are vertically shot, 60-second or less little videos, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to say about shorts. I was really resistant to shorts for a very long time, but Ben and I have both, Ben just started, and we can't believe how many views they get so fast. Nothing like our long form content. Here's the thing with shorts. I don't particularly like them myself personally. I don't enjoy watching them. I'm not 19 years or 14. I don't, who's the audience? People with very short attention spans, okay? So these are not in-depth things that you're going to be watching, but the people who sit there and scroll through the shorts feed, for hours on end, that's not me. It kind of gives me,
for like 10 minutes and I'm done.
yeah, it like gives me a headache. So we're not consumers of shorts, but we recognize that YouTube does want us to make shorts, and that the shorts are bringing us two things. Shorts are excellent for gaining views very fast, and shorts are excellent for gaining subscribers fast. We can't believe, I mean, Ben, what have you done? 3?
Yeah.
Ben's done 3 shorts now. How many subscribers do you think you got off that?
I don't know.
But he got like, I don't know, he probably got like 10,000 views off those 3 shorts. I'm not kidding. And like, I made one short one day out in front of my house. The mail lady got stuck in the snow. 1,500 views in like 5 minutes. I was just stunned. I was like, oh my gosh. So shorts are good for us, the creator, for getting eyes on our channel, because we pick up a lot of views really fast and we pick up a lot of subscribers quick. So it's nice for that. I'll tell you what shorts is not good for. Shorts is not good for watch time. Now remember, every YouTube content creator needs to be maintaining 4,000 public watch hours a year in the previous 12 months to maintain our monetization status, our YouTube partner program status, to be able to earn money. And so we can't ever let our watch hours get too low, okay? And shorts are not good for watch hours because they're only 60 seconds long or less. And the other thing they are not good for is money. Now, YouTube is launching February 1st. They are giving us more opportunities to earn money from ads in the shorts feed. We all just had to agree to new terms and stuff and conditions for that. But I mean, what do we make off a short? 3 cents? 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents. Woo! Okay, we're not making big bucks on the shorts. So it's not very highly motivating for us financially to make shorts, but it does get eyes on our channel. So I have been making some shorts, and I have been making a regular feature now, Tuesday travel tips. I have been making shorts with a Tuesday travel tip every Tuesday. I've got quite a few done already and scheduled to post in the upcoming weeks. And then I've been trimming down content from longer videos too, and putting those in shorts from our trip to Walt Disney World that we took in November. So there's some of those on my channel too. So if you haven't checked out the shorts tab, sometimes you'll notice if you're subscribed, you'll get a notification, and then you'll go to the channel and you go, well, wait, there's no new video. Why did I get a notification? You get the dot or whatever on the subscription feed on the left. Look in the live tab, or look in the shorts tab, or look in the community tab. And I think a lot of viewers are probably missing those because they don't realize that they need to check those other tabs now that YouTube has separated those out, because something new is on there. The creator has posted something new, but it might not be a video. It might be a live stream, or it might be a short, or it might be something, a community post. So check those other tabs too. And then just remember, the best way that you can support me and support all YouTube creators is to watch the videos. Please, please, please watch the videos. Watching the videos is how we earn the most of our money through ad revenue. And so watch the videos. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because then you get notifications, and turn the bell on, because then you get the notifications. And then otherwise, every little thing helps. Liking helps. Please like this live stream right now if you haven't already. Liking helps. Give us a thumbs up if you like it at all, or even if you just want to be supportive. It helps us so much if we get likes, because then it helps the YouTube algorithm show our video to more people. And comments are really valuable. Sharing the video is really valuable. So please make sure you're doing those things if you want to support me and other creators. That really helps a ton. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in today's video is I had a really lousy week, okay? I had one whole big thing that I don't even want to talk about, that maybe I'll talk about someday, which really wrecked my week earlier in the week. And then my dad had a pacemaker put in on Thursday, and it didn't go so good. He had an incident after his pacemaker surgery, and had to go back into surgery. So that was very scary. So Thursday was very scary for us and very, very stressful. And we were really worried that we were going to lose my dad. And it was very tense and stressful. And that was not something I was prepared to deal with. And I had already done like laundry all day, and I was tired and everything. And then I have had these travel frustrations that have actually I've been dealing with for weeks. And I wanted to talk those with you guys today and see if you guys are dealing with travel frustrations too, because 2023 is not starting out so good with travel plans. I think I have actually canceled more cruises in the first 2 weeks of 2023 than I have booked in the last 2 years. Okay, here's what's going on. Last year, if you watched my 2022 favorites video, I talked about this. No, my dad is an extremely active guy. He does not need extra help. He's a very, very active 80-year-old man. He plays in a tennis league. He bowls in a bowling league. He rides his bike every day. He golfs every day. He gets brachiocardic. His heart, sometimes when he's asleep especially, gets too slow. And he had a couple incidences of fainting. He fainted and hit his head pretty bad. He broke his orbital bone one time and got a couple concussions. So they don't want him fainting, obviously. And if your heart goes too slow, it could also potentially stop. So he needed the pacemaker for that. But he's an extremely active, very healthy guy otherwise. Thank you for asking. So anyway, lots of people have pacemakers, by the way. You can have a pacemaker because your heart goes too slow. You can also need a pacemaker because your heart goes too fast. So it just regulates the pace of your heart. He has a little thing that sits next to his bed now that like communicates with the pacemaker and makes adjustments as needed. So anyway, okay. What was I talking about? Travel. What was I talking about? I lost it completely. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, anyway, I have 3 things with travel that have been really frustrating me here in the beginning of 2023 and probably even going back into the end of 2022. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about, and tell me if this has been a frustration for you too, especially if you live in the United States. What the actual heck with the domestic airfare? It's ridiculous. I checked today. I could go to a half a dozen cities in Europe right now or on the dates that I need to travel for cheaper than I can fly to New Orleans or Miami or Orlando. What? I mean, the airfare is so high. Now I'm looking for the last week in March. And somebody did suggest to me on Facebook that it might be, good old capitalism, the airlines taking advantage of the fact that they know it's spring break. But I've been checking for months to get us plane tickets to New Orleans for it's Megan's spring break from college. And we have a cruise on Disney Magic, which is completely paid for. And I can't get there because I can't afford the airfare. Oh, I remember what I was saying. If you watched my video 2022 favorites, I talked about how 2022 was an exceptional year for us for travel. And the reason for that was because I had a whole bunch of money from selling my house. Okay. So we did a whole bunch of traveling. We traveled in 10 out of the 12 months of 2022. I can't maintain that pace unless my channel explodes. So unless my channel really, really grows rapidly and I start making a lot of money from YouTube, I can't travel like we did in 2022. So I might have to go down to like 1 video a week to make sure I have enough content. And I also have to really start watching my money and being very careful and very decisive with my travel money. So, I mean, we took some very expensive trips in 2022. Europe cost, it was a very expensive time to go, but I was really quite desperate to get to take Megan to Europe before she started college because it might have been my only chance to go with her. So, yeah, but I can't maintain that pace. I mean, unless the channel really grows and really starts to do well, I'm going to really have to tailor back the traveling in 2023. So I'm trying to really watch my money, and this airfare thing is completely messing me up. Okay, so here's the problem. When you don't live near a cruise port, we live literally as far away from a cruise port. I mean, unless you live no, actually, they probably are still closer to like Galveston than we are. I was going to say like smack in the middle of Kansas or something. But we live smack in the middle of the upper Midwest. We're about as far away from every cruise port as you can be. Okay. We have to fly. Yeah, we could drive. Yeah, we could take a train, maybe in some cases. But for the most part, we're going to have to fly. And I figured it out. The two closest cruise ports to us are New Orleans and Baltimore. They're about the same, about 1,200 miles. So it's about 2,000 kilometers. It's a long way. Does anybody want to drive that far? Because I don't. Okay. I could do it if I absolutely have to. I really don't want to drive that far. Now, I have been to New Orleans many times in the past with my dad, and we've always driven or taken Amtrak. It's a straight shot from where we live, south. Okay. It's not, like ridiculously far away or bizarre or anything. The airfare is like $1,000 or more. 800, 900, 1,200. What? And I've been checking for months, and it only goes up. And there is only one nonstop flight a day from Minneapolis to New Orleans. I don't want that one nonstop flight to fill up, but I'm sorry. I'm just like opposed to spending $1,200 on domestic. That's $1 a mile. Okay. I just think that's wrong. What are they doing? Are they completely fleecing us? Is there something really weird going on with the price of jet fuel? Why is it so expensive? And we were kind of looking it up, and apparently flying to New Orleans is always expensive. Why? Why is it so expensive to fly to New Orleans? Does anybody know? Please, if you know, tell me. It's ridiculous. And then somebody was like, oh, check Baton Rouge, check Houston. That doesn't really do me a lot of good. Okay, I fly down there. Now I got to drive for 6 hours. And I'm sorry, it was just as much. Baton Rouge actually was more. So that didn't help. And here's my thing about both driving and taking Amtrak. Yes, we could do those, but I've ridden Amtrak a lot. Haven't done it in a long time, but I have in the past ridden Amtrak a lot. And Amtrak is notorious for delays. Okay, you might have seen just recently the auto train on the way to Florida on the East Coast got delayed like 29 hours. They run out of food. They run out of water. The bathrooms become disgusting. The people that were on that auto train that got delayed were calling the police and saying that Amtrak was holding them hostage. Okay. I myself personally have been on an Amtrak train that was in a crash. We hit a car. Okay. And it delayed our Amtrak train because our engine was destroyed. And so we had to wait for them to bring us a new engine. I did make a video about this a long time ago, by the way. And we ran out of water, and we ran out of food, and we were delayed 2 days. And we couldn't pick anybody else up because they had to take 2 cars off because the wheels melted when we braked to try to avoid hitting the car. Okay, so they stopped in Toledo, Ohio, and bought everybody on the train individual Kentucky Fried Chicken dinners to feed us. I'm not making this up. This is the kind of thing that happens on Amtrak, okay? So I'm just a little worried that something like that, even just like a minor delay on Amtrak, could delay us enough that we would miss the cruise. And then on the tail end of it, it could delay us enough that Megan misses like a day or 2 of class, which is not good either. You really can't afford, if you're taking college seriously and paying as much as we're paying for the school that Megan goes to, you really can't afford to miss class. So I don't like the idea of having to depend on Amtrak to get me there on time. They're just not one that I trust to do that. So it's nice if you have all the time in the world and you want like nice leisurely, travel, and you like the views and everything, it's great for that. But if you're really concerned with being on time, Amtrak is not the mode of transportation that I would recommend. I would recommend train travel in almost any other country before I would recommend Amtrak. Okay. Driving, it's a long way. It's a long, long way, and that's hard on my ankle and difficult for me. I'm the only one of us that drives. Ben and Megan don't have driver's licenses. So, you know, I don't really want to do that either. So I keep checking the airfare, and I've toyed with it. Like, should I switch to the Disney Dream out of Miami? Should I switch to the Disney Fantasy or the Wish out of Port Canaveral? But then I started checking, and I looked, and there's still space available on those ships for the same week that we're going to go. So that's a possibility. But the airfare to those was just as bad. The airfare to Miami was terrible. The airfare to Orlando was terrible. What is with this domestic airfare? I mean, usually, I've talked about this before. I don't like to spend more than $1,000 on domestic airfare for the three of us. And in almost every trip I've ever taken, I have no problem doing that. So that's like, what is that? 300 something, no more than 400 for each of us to stay under. But I mean, it's all $8,000-$9,000 for airfare, for domestic airfare for right now for spring break. If you plan on going spring break and you don't have your plane tickets yet, tell me where you're going and if you find anything cheaper than what I'm seeing, because I don't know what is going on. If you've been having this problem too, I'd really like to hear about it in the comments. I don't know what's going on with airfare. So I am like freaking out about airfare for our upcoming cruise in March, because I don't know what we're going to do. Because if it doesn't go down, we're going to have to drive. I'm sorry. I'm not spending $3,600 on a plane ticket from Minneapolis to New Orleans. That's ridiculous. Do you agree with me that that's ridiculous? I mean, that's insane. I literally, like I said, I found half a dozen cities in Europe I could fly to the same week for cheaper. That doesn't make sense to me. Why is domestic airfare so expensive right now? Does anybody know? Okay, second thing I'm frustrated about right now, Alaska. I booked over a year ago. It was before we moved, I know that. Over a year ago, I booked a cruise on Discovery Princess for all of us, me, my three kids, and my dad. My dad actually specifically asked me if he could go with us on this Alaska cruise. Now, he claims he doesn't remember this, because I know I booked it before we moved and before I had sold our house. But the initial understanding was he was going to pay for himself. Okay. And I remember at the time I forwarded him the email confirmation and everything. And I said, here's your reservation number, and here's how much it is, and here's when it has to be paid off by. And you can call this number to make payments on it over time. And this is when it has to be paid off by. And he's not the greatest about checking his email. So I don't know, maybe he never even noticed it, but whatever. But then after we sold the house and I felt like I was really flush with cash, I generously said, actually, Dad, I'd like to pay to take you with us on this Alaska cruise. Now, unfortunately, I was concentrating on one trip at a time. And I kind of have to, because if I try to think too far ahead, I get overwhelmed. But I had to make another spreadsheet. I've always got to make spreadsheets to keep everything organized. But the total for the five of us, this was an inside passage round trip out of Seattle, 7-night cruise for the five of us. And it was 2 rooms. It was a mini suite for me, Ben, and Megan. And it was just a regular balcony room for my dad and my son, Andrew. It was going to be $11,000. And so all of a sudden we got to the new year and I started to look at my upcoming trips for 2023. And I realized that we had to have that cruise paid off by March 13th. And I had only paid about $4,000 of it. And I'm like, I don't have it. I can't. I don't have any way to pay this off. And so I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, can you pay for you and Andrew maybe? And he said no. And so I had to cancel it because there was no way we were going to be able to pay that cruise off. Now, that was a pretty expensive cruise. Discovery Princess's newest ship. And the route was kind of expensive. It was in June. And so through my research now, since I canceled that one, I've kind of here's some things I've determined about Alaska. And this might be interesting to people who are interested in traveling on a cruise to Alaska. One is, it doesn't seem to matter what cruise line it is, but I'm going to come back to this. no matter what the cruise line, June, July, and August all cost about the same. Okay, so no matter what cruise line you're looking at, no matter what route you're looking at, June, July, and August is the most expensive time to go to Alaska. Now, the Alaska season is very short. It's only May, maybe April to September, the end of September. Maybe they might go into like the first week of October. Okay, so you don't have a lot of time to go to Alaska. That probably is part of the reason it's so expensive, is because it's just a limited time, and you know they got to move those ships up there and everything. Oh, quick little side note. Did you know that the reason they don't, I had to look this up because I didn't know, because my dad and I were talking about it, and I'm like, why don't they cruise out of Anchorage? Anchorage is on the water. There's a couple of reasons. One is it's not deep enough. Okay. The second is the Cook Inlet there that goes up to Anchorage is tidal. So it's dependent on the tides, and there's a lot of like moving sand and stuff at the bottom, and it can be really unpredictable for ships to sail through there because it's dangerous. Okay. And there's also a lot of sometimes floating debris, and also it can ice over. So those are all the reasons that you don't cruise out of actual Anchorage on a north-south route. So you have to go to Seward or Whittier, which are a good distance away, and you have a couple options. I mean, you could rent a car. I don't think that'd make a lot of sense, but there's a train that goes to both, and there's buses. There's both cruise line sponsored shuttle buses, and there's independent companies that run buses. And it's actually beautiful scenery and views on the bus ride or the train ride down to Seward or Whittier. So if you're doing one of those north-south routes, and you come into Seward or Whittier and you got to go back to Anchorage to fly home, just know that that's how you get there. So, because I didn't know how you get there. And the reason I was looking at that, because I just had Inside Passage in my head, was I've discovered that those north-south routes, and what it is it's where you start in either Seward or Whittier and end in Vancouver, or the other way around. You start in Vancouver and you end in Seward or Whittier. Okay. Those routes, for whatever reason, could be port fees, I don't know, are less expensive than the Inside Passage. The Inside Passage is where you are cruising round trip from Vancouver, Seattle, maybe San Francisco, up through the Inside Passage and back again. Okay. The north-south routes are just a little bit less expensive overall. Then here's the other thing that might be of interest to you. If you want something, so now what I'm doing, because I canceled our Discovery Princess cruise, which I was really sad to do that. My dad is very disappointed, especially because of this health scare we had with my dad this week. I definitely really do want to try. We all want to go. We all want to go to Alaska this summer. I'm going to try very hard to get us to Alaska this summer, but we need to find something a lot less expensive. Okay. Now, if I have to spend $3,600 to fly to New Orleans, that's really going to hamper my efforts to go to Alaska this summer. So the whole spending a lot for that airfare to New Orleans in March is really messing me up. Okay, but here's what I found if you want to spend less money on an Alaskan cruise. First of all, your dates. The earlier in the season or the later in the season you can go, the cheaper it is. That's like pretty much the only time it's going to be cheaper. You got to go in May or September. And the earlier in May or the later in September you can go, the less expensive it'll be. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is those north-south, starting in Seward or Whittier and going to Vancouver or the other way around, are a little less expensive than the Inside Passage routes. Okay. The third thing is Royal Caribbean is the cheapest, even cheaper than Carnival, definitely cheaper than Norwegian. Royal Caribbean is the least expensive cruise line for Alaska. Then I would say it's probably a tie between Princess and Holland America, and everybody else is more expensive. So I hope that helps you if you're looking like I am to try to figure out how to cruise to Alaska for the least amount of money. So what we're kind of focused on now is we're kind of focused on right when Andrew and Megan get done with school at the end of May, and probably be going over Megan's birthday, which is at the very end of May, like Memorial Day weekend time. Our original one was like the middle of June. And I really want to try a new cruise line, but we might end up going on Royal Caribbean again because they're the cheapest. So that's a frustration for me. And I can't really figure out what I'm doing with Alaska until I figure out what I'm doing to get to New Orleans in March, because I don't know how much money I'm going to have to work with. So are any of you planning to go to Alaska this summer? Which route are you taking? What cruise line are you taking? What ship are you going on? Have you taken an Alaska cruise before? Do you have any tips for me? Share it. Okay. The last thing that is frustrating me, if you saw another blink and you missed it video where I talked about my cruise plan going forward, how I want to do a Disney cruise every year. And so we get on all the ships, and I want to do all the different kinds of Disney cruises. Ben and I talked about that on our vlog on the last night of our Disney Wonder Cruise. We want to go on all the ships. So far, the kids, well, except for Andrew, Megan and Ben have only been on the Wonder. I've been on the Wonder 3 times. Andrew and I have been on the Magic, but we haven't been on the Dream, the Fantasy, or the Wish yet, and then we'll have to go on the Treasure after that. So we want to go on all those ships. We also want to do, so we've done a Halloween on the high seas. We have done a Very Merry Time, but like Megan was a baby and Ben wasn't born, so they don't remember. So we're going to have to do another Very Merry Time. And then we want to do a Pixar Day at Sea and maybe a Marvel Day at Sea. We did at one point have a Marvel Day at Sea booked. Why did I cancel that one? Do you remember? Seriously, I've done so much rebooking and canceling, I can't even keep them straight. I think I've booked like 5 different Disney cruise now, and I keep canceling them because of various different reasons. Here's the trouble I'm having with Disney Cruise Line, and this is my third travel frustration right now. 2 things. It's scheduling is my challenge. And I have to really, okay. One challenge is, it basically be Megan. Honestly, it's too expensive for me to take all 4 of us on Disney. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again. The fact that me and the 3 kids got to go on Disney Wonder in 2017 was that. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again. It's really expensive to take a lot of people. But because Disney is so expensive, I really want to have it booked out as far in advance as possible so I have time to save up and pay it off. But Disney, darn you, doesn't release their cruises. For that matter, they don't release their packages or their hotels at the parks either, very far in advance. I'll give you 2 examples. One, we already know that Megan has a little break, like a little less than a week, between the end of J term, which is basically required at her school. She's at J term right now, and the beginning of her spring semester, right at the end of January, beginning of February. This year, we're going on a cruise. That one's all set. I've got my plane tickets. I've paid for parking at the airport. The cruise is all paid for. Everything's good. We're going on Navigator of the Seas on the West Coast again, like this cruise that's in the picture behind me. That's in 2 weeks. Okay. So we're doing that. But next year, we want to go to Festival of the Arts at Epcot at Walt Disney World. Go back to Walt Disney World. Okay. It's only a year from now. Festival of the Arts has started. I want to book my hotel, Disney, please. Nope, can't do it. Any other hotel chain, I could book a hotel room in most cases a year in advance. Once you pass a year, it should open up and I should be able to book it. Disney won't let me book it. They still only go to the end of December 2023. I don't know why they can't open up their bookings farther out than that. And Disney Cruise Line is the same way. I want to book Disney Dream for 2024. Okay? But they've only got Disney Dream dates out through March of 2024. Gosh darn it, Disney. Okay, and I know that the Dream is going to be in Europe for summer of 2024. I'm not doing that. That's too expensive. The combination of going to Europe and going on Disney is too expensive. I have a Norway Fjords cruise. This is very important to me. I have a Norway Fjords cruise booked on Sky Princess in 2024, which we will be doing. I don't care if we don't do any other cruise, I'm doing that one. Because if you haven't heard, Norway is going to cut off access for most larger cruise ships to the fjords after 2024. That's to protect the environmental, situation there, which I totally support and totally understand. So, except for like smaller cruise lines like Hurtigruten and really smaller cruise ships, you're not going to be able to go into the fjords in Norway anymore. And so, if you want to go on a bigger ship to Norway, you need to go this year or next year, and then you won't be able to do it anymore. So, make sure you pay attention to that. So, what was I saying? I don't want to do the dream to Europe in 2024 because that's going to be too expensive. On top of Norway is going to be enough for me to pay for, plus the plane tickets to get over there. Although it'll still be probably be cheaper than flying to New Orleans. Okay, but anyway, so I'm going to need to go to the dream. Shoot, we might have to go on the fantasy like over my birthday or something. I don't know if we'll be able to do the dream in 2024 because I would have liked to do it over Megan's spring break, had it booked, just canceled it. It's too dang expensive. It's Easter. And Disney knows when kids are off school and they jack up the price. I don't want to go when I know they're fleecing me. Okay. I'm not paying twice as much for the exact same cruise in the exact same ship just because I know that Disney's jacking up the price because of when it is. I will find a different week to go. Thank you. That is not as expensive. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to do the dream in 2024. We might have to do the fantasy in 2024 and maybe do the dream in 2025. My other complication is we have to work around Megan's schedule, and Megan does want to do 1 or 2 study abroads in college. And we don't know when she's going to be doing that yet. And I also need to stay flexible because if Megan studies abroad, we're going to want to go visit her and travel to wherever she is. Highly way up there on her study abroad possibilities is to go back to the UK, London, theater, stuff like that maybe, or Japan. She really very strongly wants to go to Japan. So we might be going to Japan sometime in the next 2.5 years, 3.5, whatever. And so I have to stay open to that and keep flexible and stuff like that. But I guess for me, and tell me if this is true for a lot of you, the bigger and more expensive the trip, the more farther in advance I need it booked. And Disney doesn't let me do that. They don't release their dates for their cruise ships far out enough for me to have enough time to save up the money. So I kind of just always have to have money ready to go so I can book a Disney cruise because it's really difficult. And, unless we go at one of those lower price times, like Ben and I got a good deal on the Disney cruise. We took this one that's in this picture when we went on the Wonder. But, unless you can go at a low price time like that, when most kids are in school and they drop the price. You look at what I'm saying, like go to cruise.com, pick a Disney ship, go to cruise.com, put in that Disney ship and say all dates. Like don't put in a specific date and just look at how much the price changes for the same cruise on the same ship, depending on the date. I've never seen any other cruise line have that much variation in price for the same cruise on different dates. It's crazy. So if you're really interested in going on Disney Cruise Line, you really need to be flexible with your dates because there can be huge differences for the same cruise, same itinerary, same ship, depending on when you go. It's crazy. I mean, it can be 2-3 times more expensive if you're going over a holiday or in the summer than it is, at other times of the year. So keep that in mind if you want to get a good price on a Disney cruise. Cool. Okay, so those were my 3 frustrations that I'm dealing with right now with travel. The excessively expensive domestic airfare in the United States. What is going on? The trying to find a lower cost cruise for us to go to Alaska this summer, and my difficulty in being able to book Disney cruises because of trying to work around my daughter's college schedule and also having it out far enough to be able to book it out that I have enough time to pay it off before we go. So yeah, that's frustrating. Do you guys have any other travel frustrations that you're dealing with right now besides these things that I said? What else kind of things are you dealing with as you look ahead to 2023? And I'm really interested to see what other people are planning to do in 2023. What trips do you have planned? Do you have anything booked? Do you have any cruises booked? What else are you looking forward? I'd love to hear your responses in the comments below. Not a lot of people, unfortunately, joined. So again, doesn't look like this was a great time for a live. But I'm already losing the light here. The sun is setting. It's the upper Midwest in winter. The sun sets at 4 o'clock. So I lose my light. I don't know how I could do evenings, but yeah, I really struggle to find a time when people can participate in lives. And it's a lot more fun for me and for you guys if I get really active participation. Otherwise, it's really just me making a video. So, still trying to find out when is the best time that people can come and participate and ask questions. But thank you because most of you are probably going to be watching this after the fact. So if you are, please give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I really appreciate your support. It really does help me out a lot. I really am very desperately working so hard and trying to get my channel to grow. So every view, like, comment, share, subscription helps me. Okay, that really means a lot to me. And if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat down below. And I am going to have a little post coming up soon on my community tab. Make sure you keep an eye on my community tab. I run polls there all the time. And I put I put a question on there about Alaska and not a single person answered it. So that's kind of frustrating for me too. Please make sure you're keeping an eye on the community tab. If you don't see it, like when you're scrolling on your phone or on your computer, just go to the creator's homepage and click on community and everything's there. So it's not like you have to see it in that little featured thing or you don't see it. So, and remember that I'm doing shorts now. So make sure you check out my shorts if you haven't already. I think I have, 7 to 8 Tuesday travel tip shorts on there. And I just did kind of a funny one of our reaction immediately after riding Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know. It's a really cool ride. It's very, very cool. And it's very, very smooth. But it's probably not for everyone. So check that out too. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this. I hope you're all doing well and that everybody's safe and healthy and that you have a great 2023. So have a great day, everyone. Safe travels.